for cleaning the air. Now, each little bit that we can do is less than a drop in the ocean, us individually. But if we all did it, we would actually have an ocean. So all the drops would come together. There would be a major catalytic effect. Now, this is the worst of the abstract diagrams. This isn't going to be on the test, so you don't have to remember what these are. But I put this in to remind myself to just make this important technical point aimed more at the planners and developers and architects here. This is something called a connectivity index diagram. Connectivity index diagram. What that means is that there is a reasonably accurate method of evaluating whether a subdivision is well designed for connectivity. Because remember, I said people will walk if it's safe, attractive, and there's somewhere to walk to. I'm not likely to walk down here or walk down here, unless I live there, because it doesn't go anywhere. I have to come back. The idea of a connected network of streets, like we saw in that plan for Birkdale Village, is a fundamental requirement for a walkable neighborhood. And a walkable neighborhood, remember, is good because, this is on the test, it's good because it gives you choice, it allows you to take charge of your personal health to a greater degree, and by driving less, we can do our bit for our fellow citizens by pumping less pollution into the environment. And we can also have a nice time. But unless the framework of streets is designed to be attractive and connected, to give us options and choices, I mean, if I was to walk down here and back every day, 365 days a year, I might get my exercise, but it's pretty soul-destroying. If I'm in a grid, like in my neighborhood, I can walk every which way. There's an amazing number of permutations. The way urban designers and planners look at neighborhoods is through this connectivity index. And you'll see that the stars are called nodes, and they're either at the ends of streets or at the junctions of streets. And the circles are called links. And there's a geometric ratio, the number of links to the number of nodes. This is actually based on the ordinance from Carey, just up the pike a little bit. That if you divide the links by the nodes, you get a number. A typical cul-de-sac subdivision comes out at about 1. A grid, a perfect grid, comes out at about 2.5. For the planners in the room, a connectivity index needs to be at least 1.4 or 1.5. This one, when you work it out, is actually 1.2. If this went through to here or here, and this went through here, and you replatted the lots, you would actually get a number of about 1.48. which would mean that there was an appropriate degree of connectivity. And the reason that's important is that it makes it a more walkable, safe, attractive neighborhood. I'm going to wind down by showing some examples of a major study we did in the Lawrence Group, which is where I work as a practitioner, up in the Raleigh-Durham area. This is hard to read, so I'll interpret this. Here you might be able to see a mesh of lines which looks vaguely like airport runways, and that's Raleigh-Durham International Airport. This is the Research Triangle Park. This is I-40. Here, downtown Raleigh is about there. We were called in mainly by the folks at Research Triangle, but also the other municipalities in this area, about 6 or 7 jurisdictions back up to this area. And there's a daytime working population of 90,000 who come in and out of this area. This is about 60 square miles, about 10 by 6, or more likely 11 by 5 and a bit. About 60 square miles, 90,000 people come in and out to work every day. Within that same area, there's about 6,000 people who live there. The fact that, now, let's assume that each one of those 6,000 people works in the area. Now, we know that's probably not going to be true, but let's just assume it was. That means 94,000 people, that's 94,000 cars, are coming in and going out every day on I-40. Anybody been on I-40 when the RTP is emptying? You don't move, right? Now, once again, we live in the cleverest, richest, most powerful nation on the face of the earth, yet we cannot avoid huge traffic jams which are wasteful of our time, pollute the air, and enormous loss of productivity and good time with our families. We seem to be incapable of solving that problem. You know, the archetypal Martian who came down wouldn't think we were very bright, right? We build all these jobs and then live miles away and everybody drives in. And the cost of gasoline is going to go up. Who believes it's going to go down? Well, it goes down a penny and it's on the news, right? It's going to go up. We all know that. So we're going to spend not only more of our time, but more of our money stuck doing nothing. Well, the cell phone is actually a wonderful device. It means that we can be stuck in the traffic jam and still be productive. It's a sort of double-edged sword. That's really good news, but it means that we worry less about the traffic jams now. But we mustn't fool ourselves. We're still pumping that gunk out of our tailpipe. Most pollutants when you're idling. For a New Year's resolution, never go through drive-thrus. Park your car, get out. You get exercise, your joints creak a bit. I mean, I'm at an age where I need to move my joints. But every one of us through the drive-thru, that's when we pollute more than any other time. If you just want to do one thing, one tiny thing for the planet and your neighbors, don't go through drive-thrus. That's my wife and I's New Year resolution last year. So far, we've maintained it. At least when we're together. I can't speak for her, but I've maintained my bit. The Research Triangle folks said all this congestion on I-40 is hurting our business model. We aren't as attractive to the high-tech research companies as we used to be. We're losing our competitive edge. All this traffic is really bad for our business. What can we do? And so the public and the private sectors came together, and we spent a week long in an intensive workshop to create a master plan. And what this strange-looking diagram is represents a new pattern of development which maximizes the residential potential for good quality housing of a range of income levels in this area, with also new employment. The blue is new employment areas. The yellow is basically housing, and the oranges and reds are the sort of neighborhood centers, the mixed-use cores, if you will, or which provide the nucleus for the surrounding development, so that we could do something to correct this huge imbalance of 90,000 people working there, 6,000 people living there. So 84,000 people, and it's nearer 89,000 people driving in and out every day. Within that, I mean, you don't just draw these